the budget vote for the Gauteng Provincial Treasury for 2026-2027 financial year. And without further ado, I will give the MEC the floor to start. Thank you.
No, greetings, everyone. Ngibingelele the HOD, HOD Ngumisa. Ngibingelele the spokesperson of the MEC's office, as well as the head of comms, Dr. John, including the media houses that are here before us. First and foremost, let us congratulate Bafana Bafana for winning and for taking us through to the last 32 without us having to practice excessive mathematics. So thank you for joining us today following the tabling of the 2026-27 budget vote of the Gauteng Provincial Treasury. I want to speak directly and plainly about where we are, what we have found, and what we intend to do. I assumed the office of the MEC of Finance on the 1st of April 2026. Since then, we have engaged extensively with Treasury leadership, provincial departments, businesses, financial institutions, and oversight bodies. What we found confirmed two things: that Gauteng remains the economic engine of South Africa, and the structural challenges facing our public finances demand urgent and bold action. Business as usual is not an option. We're operating under serious fiscal pressure, weak economic growth, declining transfers from national government, rising service delivery demands, and infrastructure backlogs, which are placing a strain on the province. A significant part of these pressures come from the e-toll debt. And to date, Gauteng has paid over 13.9 billion towards this obligation. After June 2026 installment, the outstanding balance remains at approximately 6.17 billion. This continues to limit what we can do for our people. We're not making excuses, we're stating the facts, and we're acting decisively within these constraints. The Treasury has been allocated 788.4 million for the 2026-2027 financial year. Every rand will be directed with purpose and accountability. Our priorities are very clear. As one, to fix procurement. Public procurement must stop being a compliance exercise, must become a tool for economic transformation, supporting township enterprises and black-owned businesses. Number two, collecting what is owed. We're strengthening revenue collection across motor vehicle licensing, patient billing, and traffic revenue. Revenue leakages will be closed. Three, paying service providers on time. The burden of unpaid invoices is destroying small businesses and cutting jobs. We will host a service delivery imbizo with the Department of Education, Health, Human Settlement, and Infrastructure Development to resolve this urgently. Four, protecting medical supplies. We are instructed and will establish an integrated inventory management system to stop theft, wastage, and mismanagement of medical supplies across our healthcare facilities. Five, unlocking infrastructure investment. We cannot rely on budget allocations alone. We'll pursue well-structured public-private partnerships to accelerate delivery in transport, in healthcare, and accommodation, as well as township industrial development. The financial state of several municipalities in Gauteng is a serious concern to us. Unfunded budgets, poor revenue collection, and escalating debt to bulk service providers are threatening service delivery and investor confidence. We'll take a far more interventionalist approach. We'll intervene early, coordinate better, and ensure stronger accountability. The urgent appointment of a Deputy Director General for Municipal financial governance is a priority to us. Corruption is not a financial statistic. It has a human cost, and in our province, that cost has been paid in lives. On the 29th of June 2026, we'll host a memorial service at Tembisa Hospital to honor officials who were killed for standing against corruption, amongst them Babita Dokaran, Mpoma Fole, Martha Mane Ransofu, and Simnigi Mapini. This province will not normalize the killing of public servants who act with integrity. We will stand with those who defend accountability and will pursue consequence management without fear or favor. The people of Gauteng expect urgency, they expect results, they expect a treasury that will work for them, not one that merely manages spreadsheets. That is exactly what we intend to deliver, and I am happy to now take your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, MEC. Members of the media, we are going to take 2 rounds of questions, considering the fact that the sitting at the House is starting at 10 o'clock. So we plead with you that we stick to the order and the topic of the day, which is budget vote tabling for 2026-2027. So without waste of time, can we see with show of hands? Okay, so yourself, sir, first, and then yourself second. Do you have another hand? And yourself, sir, at the back. Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you. My name is from Market Community Newspaper. 2 questions. First one is regarding the economic debt crisis that Gauteng municipalities are facing. Just want to get a sense of the interventionist approach that you want to take, because we want to know the intervention if it's going to be immediate or long-term or short-term. Because in Nkululeko, as you know, there's the 7 billion electricity crisis that they are facing. They can't pay us off, and then we just reported in the same. We just turned off water for the last week because they are owing water to 7 million rand, and they couldn't negotiate. After a month of negotiating, they couldn't find a way to pay the debt. So they resulted in cutting the water for the residents, which they reported to us and we published. So we just want to know the approach that you're taking now. Is it long-term or short-term? Where you're going to assist municipalities in their debt crisis? Thank you.
Good morning, Captain YSABC News. I just want to find out the 13.9 billion rand that is being paid so far. Does it include the amount that was due by this June? And also, when do you think you should be done with this debt in terms of your medium targets for the township?
Thank you. My name is Nkululeko. I'm from MEC Dunga.
That's excluding it, right?
We often hear every now and then that the state of finance in municipalities is not in order, but we never get told what is the cause of it. Can you elaborate what causes the municipalities to struggle financially?
It's the 13.9 after, so it's inclusive of our tranche. And then what's remaining? 5 point something, huh? Yeah. It's 6 billion. I didn't get the last question. My apologies.
We apologize, sir. Can you please just repeat your question?
Right. I'm saying my name is Nkululeko. I'm from MEC Dunga. Now and then we are often told that the state of municipal finances is not in order, but we are never told what is the root cause of it. Can you just give us an update? What causes these municipalities to struggle? Is it because people are not paying rent or what?
Okay. With fine. No, thank you very much. So we'll start with so the 13-point line would have said that it's as the end of June, this is how much we would have paid. So it's inclusive of the amount that we are going to be making a payment on the 29th, on the 30th of June. And then thereafter we left with a bill of about 5.96 billion, which would be the last installment that we have to pay towards ETOL. 20?
8. So we have 2 more.
We have two more tranches to the tune of 6 billion. So that's it. In terms of municipalities and their interventions, when we came into office, I think one of the first things that we would have done in terms of our intervention would have been to subject the municipalities to Section 39 and 41 of the MFMA as part of the intervention, which is inclusive of Marafong, majority of the western municipalities outside of Mogale, and the ones of Sidibeng districts, outside of Midval, because we would have identified that there are serious matters of financial constraint that would have had to deal with. So it's both the long and the short-term perspective in terms of how we plan to intervene. So if you look at, for example, I know Marafong right now, Rand Water has cut off their water supply by 40% as a result of non-payment towards the Rand Water. We've identified that. We have to zoom in and do the necessary assistance in terms of getting them out of that problem, understanding that they are still under Section 139, which is the long arm of our intervention. On a month-to-month basis, they are expected to report back to us in terms of their financial standing and the financial recovery plan that they would have submitted to us that speaks to a reform of their own finances. So we do have that approach. The other approach, which is more internal by the Department of Finance and Treasury, is to obviously give credence to their financials in terms of their books and their assistance with the Auditor General submissions and so forth. And also the process where, as in when they are tabling their budgets, we're able to have a look at them and give the necessary advices where there are interventions and corrections that ought to be done so that it is in line with the principles of National Treasury. That's a support that we give at a provincial level. There's obviously more that we can do in terms of holding them to account, but you'd also understand that the metros are dealt with differently because they would account directly to the National Treasury, and we are then left with the districts and the local municipalities to give that particular support in the main. Now, in terms of the state of municipalities and the root cause thereof, there are many factors that are attributed to it. If you were to ask me on one end, I would say that the funding model in general of municipalities requires an overhaul. And why we say this is because it is too reliant, all these municipalities are too reliant on a revenue perspective, particularly on electricity as a core profit line item in the budget that gives credence to the many other spaces. And with all the electricity challenges that we have had, with the inclusive of infrastructure problems, which were not considered, it has had a serious impact in terms of the budgeting thereof. But there are also, and water, by the way, is no different. Now you're finding a space where municipalities are still in the perception that they can collect the necessary revenue in electricity, but a lot of people are now going off grid, you know, which is also a problem for themselves, because the expectation of a particular collection has now gone down, and they can't collect the necessary revenues. But there are also serious revenue leakages, particularly in technical losses of water and electricity at the same time as a result of infrastructure decay. Our municipalities, particularly the districts, are heavily reliant and purely reliant, if I can say even that, on equitable share and conditional grants. So we need to sort of change the model of financing our municipalities so that they are not more inward, but they are also outward looking in terms of how they can generate capital outside of the norms and standards that have been accepted over the years. And we do have a problem, obviously, of non-payment, and non-payment by both citizens and large power users of both electricity and water. So there's a huge chunk of debt that is owed towards municipalities by both business and citizens, which has an impact because in most cases, they would have tabled a budget with the expectation of a 90% collection rate. You would realize that's already a 10% cut off from the expectation of delivering at 100%. And even that 90% is difficult for many of the municipalities to reach as a result of billing systems, as a result of no any other systems that are credibly put in place to do the necessary collection, as a result of ineffective credit control measures, which then leads to them going into a financial crisis. And some of the interventions, I know now that there's an introduction of what they call the smart meter grant that would have to get municipalities to actually assist them in terms of application thereof, because many of our municipalities, particularly the locals, do not have smart meters, and therefore the credibility of their billing system is questionable. And those are just some of the problems that I would have identified, and equally as well the interventions that we are looking at doing in the immediate, but also at the same time in terms of the long run with the assistance. But at the core of it all is to ensure that there is continued infrastructure development. Over the years, both at a provincial level and at a local level, we have underspent in terms of infrastructure development. You know, many municipalities, even right now, they're hitting, if you look at their budget compositions, is below 5% in terms of infrastructure development. So we're not creating a new asset base. And even then, that 5% is questionable because we overcapitalize on infrastructure development, where we spend at times double to triple the amounts of what would ordinarily would have been a completed building, as opposed to the current market rates. And these are just some of the challenges that we have learned to understand. And it's not an isolated incident. It's sort of like a universal incident across all these municipalities, where the challenges are consistent from one area to another that we are just trying to deal with. Thank you very much.
We are going to take the last round of questions. I see the gentleman behind you, then yourself, sir, in front, and then the gentleman behind.
MEC, thank you very much.
Excuse me, you'll be the last one. Thank you.
My name is Colin Hans from Josie Kitchens and Josie FM. For the interest of Sowetans, I mean, on the 14th of May, we came to Soweto and we said the venue was deliberate because we wanted to take government to the people. And on the background, we had a monument of some sort. I mean, we had 100 million wasteful infrastructure, bill, I may say. I mean, I just want to find out if this budget is going to address directly the issue of that infrastructure.
What's the guarantee?
Let me see. One, which IT company. Most metros have got a property database that has got discrepancies, meaning that the properties we have, for instance, here in Johannesburg, the properties we have in Johannesburg, some of them don't appear on the database, meaning that those people are not paying rents and taxes. And when you ask the city of Johannesburg about that, because this company says the database needs to be completely overhauled. But when you ask the municipality, they firstly refuse to accept that. Now, I want to find out from Treasury, are you aware that the database is discrepancies?
Thank you, Stephen, from Mapetela again. This question goes to all. It's regarding the integrated financial management or inventory management system that Treasury wants to create for medical supplies. As a media practitioner and owner, we've been part and parcel working with the Treasury, communicating the provincial budget over the past years. And we've been getting our procurement from a service provider, which is a middleman, normally, which is an advertising agency. We've recently discovered that these agencies charge 20 times balloon prices that we charge as media practitioners for this provincial budget. So we just want an intervention from the MEC to create norms and standards for pricing in the advertising of local and community media, because we charge differently every year because of different service providers come to us, some of them not knowing the industry. We've just discovered that if one media house would charge 20,000, the service provider would charge 100,000, and they don't do any of the work. So we just want MEC to come through and create a system that will go through from Treasury to other departments as well, because we discussed this with the communications department as a group, where we said we want to create norms and standards where the pricing is normalized and standardized, so that other departments can also see from Treasury proper pricing. Because with these middlemen and service providers, it's not going right, and it's not empowering us local media, which goes to the township and reaches the people with the messages that we create. Thank you.
Oh, fine. Is this Dunga hostel? It was City of Joburg was the implementing agency, right? The Dunga hostel.
On the attendant.
Mm. No, thank you very much. Thanks for the questions. Look, in terms of the question on property database, it is potential because there is a potential that there's a lot of properties that are not on the database on the basis of municipalities don't do yearly evaluation rolls. We must admit that part. And the second aspect would be that there is continued infrastructure development, particularly in estates, that would have not gone through the necessary approvals by municipalities and so forth. You know, there's I just forgot the name of the estate in Pretoria. Is that a farm? As a classic example. I forgot the name, but right at the end of Pretoria, it's a farm, and they ended up building lots of houses inside this particular farm. And all of those houses don't pay rates and taxes. And it's huge establishments, like huge houses that are worth millions of rands. They don't pay rates and taxes. Waste collection, they pay for one dustbin of the farm, which is probably 800 rand a month on the bill of the farm. But there's numerous households there. So once more, it's not an isolated incident. There are many other cases of such a nature that do exist across Gauteng, which must be reined in by municipalities. We welcome the integrated management system in terms of media. I think it's something that we can look into, because we are very much cost conscious as Treasury. You would know, and you know, some of the interventions that would have found expression and shall be expressed in due time is also the database of price formulation as Treasury, you know, where we've got a database of products, how much they cost, so that departments are well aware when they go into procurement. This is more or less the pricing of a particular product. And I think that aspect in terms of media is very much welcomed in terms of how we can best, you know, deal with it, because there are elements of inconsistencies in terms of pricing, you know, with that part of it. On the e-toll backlogs on maintenance of the roads, you would see that there's a lot of road maintenance currently. You know, the most classic one is on the N3, N12, ne? Towards Edenvale. It's towards Edenvale. From just even towards even the Geldenhuys interchange and so forth, who are the ones who are currently busy with that. The implementing agency is obviously Sanral, and obviously with the agreement and the engagements of e-toll, which in its spirit then was that the money that is derived from e-toll must then be used for road maintenance. The expectation is that now, as a province, we must make sure that we fulfill that mandate in the absence of a revenue intake from e-toll. We are obliging to it, and we are doing it, and we shall continue to do it. There are certain roads even currently that are in the pipelines to be maintained, such as the Golden Highway and many other roads that are due for maintenance. And we shall continue to do that through the Department of Transport and its allocation and continued allocation. If there is a need to revise allocation, we'll have to do exactly that to ensure that there is continued maintenance of our public roads. On the we do have a unit in terms of the financial experts to be deployed to municipalities. We do have a unit that deals with municipal finances in the province, and These are extremely highly capable individuals who do the continued monitoring for each and every single municipality, both on the systems that we would have introduced in terms of reporting lines for municipalities, and they do the assessments, they do the evaluations, and equally as well, there is that continued engagement with engagements with municipalities as well. As hence, we could have identified that there is a necessary intervention that must be done in a particular municipality. That is as a result of that analysis that is also done by our extremely highly capable administrators and financial administrators at this level. The provincial assessment of expenditure, the goal is that before we even think of starting a new project is to complete the old. So that is more in essence the idea. Any project that is over 80%, and obviously we understand that departments have their own priorities and so forth, but is to complete that which is there before we engage even in new projects. So that's what would have resolved on as a collective, and that's what we plan to do. And that should give the direct response in terms of the provincial assessments in terms of expenditure, particularly on infrastructure development. On the hostel and the expenditure thereof, understanding the integrated government relations between national, province, and the municipality, we have actually taken up this matter directly to the Premier's office so that it can be handled at that level from a coordination perspective, so that we can finally see as to what is the best resolve in addressing this issue. It's not just, by the way, the hostel issue. There are many other ones as well, which are distressed projects, generally in Gauteng, that must be dealt with, and resolutions must be found in terms of how we deal with them. And you know, one of the very clear and instructive directives was that outside of complete projects and foreseeing the completion thereof would have been any project that is now abandoned by a contractor. We must identify that contractor and its directors and red list them or blacklist them in a way so that they are identifiable. In a case whereas if another department seeks to find a service provider to do certain work and they are there, they must be reminded to know law so that they take a more informed decision or position, knowing very well that this particular contractor might not be the one to complete the job, even prior to them being given the instruction to perform work. So these are just some of the interventions that we are doing to circumvent that whole issue of even contractors abandoning infrastructure but still get to be appointed in other areas to do work in the province. But we'll foresee the end of Dube Hostel. It was completed. The unfortunate part about it is that it was completed, but there then lied a problem when they had to now then transfer or rather move people from where they were staying into these areas, and there was a lack of communication, and that then led to the abandonment of the area, and subsequently what we now find as what we can call as a dilapidated infrastructure, but it was vandalized over the years as a result. What could be problematic, and we should have to establish even with the municipality, is that was there security that would have been pointed to look after the place, and were they paid? Because if there was security and security was paid over the years, it would have been fruitless and wasteful expenditure on their part, and they should account for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MPC. We have come to the end of the media briefing. If there's still more appetite to pose questions to the MPC, let's please take it offline. Thanks, MPC, HOD, and colleagues from all media houses. Thank you. The media briefing is adjourned.
Thank you. Did we answer all points? We're fine.